Hello and good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon.
Is it just wondering if my connection is bad, but can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
All right, thank you. Hi, Miss Prema. Hi,
Hi.
Mr. Oi. All
Are you
right.
going to start on
So,
time or are we having
sorry?
a fight? Are we going to start sharp 2:30 or
Okay.
sorry,
Couldn't hear.
sorry. No, I'm just wondering if are we going to start sharp 2:30 or 2:35 because there's somebody waiting for a query at the moment.
Oh, I think I have let everyone in, but yeah, I think I will just wait for another like 4 more minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
So because
Sure,
I
perfect.
believe
Yeah.
we because
I
we
just
have like other lecturers who will be joining.
sure. I'll get back to you in 5 minutes. Thank
Okay,
you.
sure, no problem. Yeah. Mm. So, Mr. Oi, you are from Penang, right?
Yeah, I am from
Mm,
Penang.
all right. Sorry, you're Mr.
Penang,
or Miss?
Miss, Miss.
Miss, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
so
from
which
the
campus?
Penang GT campus. I'm in SHTCA. Being a PhD lecturer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay. You are in Batu Kawan or Georgetown?
Georgetown. Georgetown
Oh,
for the
Georgetown.
moment. Then next year we will move
Mm.
to Patagonia. Yeah.
Ah, I see. Okay, all right. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
And so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, and another one is for
Mr. Ong.
Heng,
Yeah.
yeah? Oh, that one is Mr. Ong.
Yes.
Okay.
He
So
is
both of you are from the same school?
no, Mr. Ong is from business.
Oh, this one is from business
He
school,
is
I
a
see.
specialist in accounting, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah, wow, you know him well.
Because we came in at the same time, so get to know a little bit. Yeah.
I see, I see. Okay. So this is your first semester teaching?
Yes, this is my first time being a lecturer. Yeah.
Ah, okay. No worries. We learn everything together. So today
Yeah.
will be much more like a sharing session. Yeah, probably you'll also have like gone through some of the teaching strategies. So yeah, feel free to share whenever you need to.
Sure. No problem.
Mm, okay. Okay, we will just wait for another 2 more minutes to see if anyone is joining. Okay. Hi, Chef Anwar.
Hi, sorry outside rain.
It's okay, no
Just came
worries, no
back.
worries. Expect,
Okay.
no worry. I will be starting like at 2:35. So yeah, just chill and relax. All right, it's 2:35 and I know it's Friday. Everyone would like to start the weekend early. So I'm Alicia. So I'm from Teaching and Learning Center, and I'm stationed at the Glen Mary Selangor campus. So today I will be sharing on the blended learning. Probably you all have heard about this term before, and maybe you are using this strategy as well. So without further ado, I will share my screen. Yeah. Can you all see my screen? All is good?
Yes. Oh, good.
All right, thank you. Okay. Just a second, yeah. Okay. So the main learning outcome, as usual, when we start our lecture, we usually will start with the learning outcomes, right? So the main objective of today's session is much more to understand much more about what is blended learning all about, and also how we can engage with the students using this blended learning strategy. And together, we will also talk about what are the common challenges that is associated with this blended learning, right? So before we start, I would also like to hear from you. Let's see. I rarely use Teams. I usually use Zoom. All right, so I have shared the link over here just in case you are not using the laptop. Sorry, just a second, yeah. Technology. So I would like to know, what is the first word that comes to your mind when you hear about the term blended learning? You can
Mix,
scan the QR
mix,
code. Huh? Sorry, chef.
mix of traditional teaching method and digital and blend together. Sorry.
Macam in the kitchen, we blend all the ingredients together, right? Almost there. Yes. Yes. Okay. How about the others? It's anonymous, so we will not know who will be posting what. Yeah. Yeah. Just feel free to put in your thoughts, even if it's the same as what our chef has shared. Oh, loading. Okay. All right. Mixed physical and online. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to put in your thoughts?
I'm just getting connected to it.
Sure, no worries. Different properties. Okay. Probably you mean like different teaching strategy, I believe. Theory and practical. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think we only have four of us, five, right? Mixture of various methods of teaching. All right. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I will talk much more about this later on. And thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on this. Next, have you used blended learning for your course before? Yeah, it will be the same link. Yeah, or you can scan the QR code and let me know. Have you used blended learning for your course before? Mm-hmm. All right. Not yet. All right. Oh, some of you have tried this before. That's great. So probably you can share some of your learning, teaching strategies later on, yeah, or whenever which topic that I come across and you have some ideas, yeah, feel free to put your thoughts at the chat box, okay? So over here we have a mix of some that have already like incorporate this blended learning and some yes, but facing a few challenges. And yeah, we also have like someone that have not used this blended learning before. Okay, that's fine, no worries. Next, okay, I promise this is the last question. So for those who answer yes but had challenges, I'm just wondering like what kind of challenges did you face? Like maybe the learning tools or student participation, student engagement and the tools to be used. All right. Okay. Understanding each student's understanding. All right. Okay. So I would take that as like a personalized learning for each of the students, right? And their understanding. Okay. So, yep. Thank you for your feedback on my 3 questions. So yes, all right. So I see that one of you actually have mentioned about the definition of this blended learning is actually a mixture, all right, of both physical face-to-face, online, all right. But besides like using digital technology in teaching, this blended learning also talks about the combination of different teaching and learning strategies in class. So the main aim of using this blended learning is actually to help the students to not just only listen to you and learn and get the knowledge from you, but to understand and to know how to apply it. So we use this blended learning by using like different multimedia like digital tools as well as different pedagogical, which means like teaching strategies in both synchronous and asynchronous environment. All right. So before we move on, let's also understand what is synchronous and asynchronous learning. Yeah. So synchronous learning means that the learning that occurs at the same time, that means the lecturer and the students happen at the same time, just like us now, even though it's in an online environment, but this is a synchronous learning, all right? So same goes to if like physical face-to-face in the same class where everyone is in the same time space is known as the synchronous learning. Whereas the asynchronous learning means that students would learn at their own pace, all right? That means the lecturer may not be there and they learn at their own pace and get the materials online and learn by themselves. So in other words, it's also known as an independent learning, all right? So this is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning. So this blended learning does not happen just because of COVID, but it actually take place like in the 1840s So this is just a little bit of history about the blended learning when it started actually in 1840s, which started by Isaac Pitman, where he sent the materials via email. So you can see that the students are learning not just synchronous, but asynchronous, all right? Then fast forward to 1960 and 1970s. So instead of like paper printed materials, so the first technology have been implemented in this timeline, and followed by in the 1970s and 1980s. I'm not sure any of you have seen this logo before. If you have, then probably we are from the same generation. Yeah, so this is known as a TV Pendidikan, and I think they also launched this in 2000 again, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so it's by our own government initiative. So this is where the teachers do not need to be physically to be there to deliver the content. Yeah, so they will just watch online and watch the TV at the time on the learning materials. And after that, in 1980s, that's where the CD-ROM comes in. Yeah. And after that, in 1998, the internet, of course, came in, and finally, fast forward to like 2000, early 2000, that's where the blended learning and also the learning management system takes place. Yeah. So this is how blended learning actually takes place from very, very early in the 1840s until today. So why is this important? Yeah. So first of all, is to boost the effectiveness of education. So just now, I think you also mentioned about the personalized learning as each student learn at its own pace, all right, and their understanding is also different. And secondly, is to increase access and convenience so that like they can, if you upload your material online, they can just access to it anywhere, anytime, in any location. And the third one would be the change in learning behavior of the students, which I will talk about this later on, and also of the constantly evolving environment. So we can see that after COVID, the digital transformation takes place, as well as AI, of course, comes in from ChatGPT 2.0. Now is until like 4.0. And that is also the reason why we have invited the lecturers to participate in that AI risk assessment reflection in May. So I hope that or I'm not sure if all of you have actually participated, because this is very important for us to reflect on the assessment that we are given to the students. Is it like still effective for the students in learning? Yeah. So the main goal is that till the end of the day, we would not just want to produce a group of students that are having the same knowledge, all right, but they are competitive, all right, in the future job market. So what are the driving factors, okay, of blended learning in Malaysia? First of all, is of course our Malaysia education blueprint that emphasize on a nation of lifelong learners. As I mentioned, that blended learning also encourage like independent learning from the students, yeah, as well as the globalized online learning, so that the students would be more familiarized with the digital tools and technology. And of course, the IR 4.0 that emphasize on the flexibility and accessibility to the technology, and we would be able to produce a group of graduates, okay, that are digital literacy, as well as I would expect that employers would have the expectation that this generation of the graduates would have knowledge in terms of like technology as well as AI, okay? And of course, COVID-19 have fastened this process as well. And lastly, the change of the learning behavior of the students. So compared to my era, all right, for me, like I really need to look at the printed materials much more than like looking at the laptop and read, all right. But I believe the students in your class nowadays are probably from Gen Z, and slowly the Gen Alpha is coming in as well. Yeah, maybe some of you over here are Gen Z as well. Yeah. So if you recall back when you learn, yeah, for this generation Z, they are much more towards multi-model, which means that they will prefer like a different way of learning, like for example, like podcasts or maybe something like virtual learning. Okay, so they need like a different learning materials. As for Gen Alpha, they are much more virtual. For example, like they can learn something from YouTube and they like something like gamification. So this is also why in our teaching, we would have to evolve as well. Okay. So what are the advantages of this blended learning is that, of course, with a different learning activity, student will get triggered. Yeah, if you have, I'm not sure if Mr. Gabriel has mentioned this before, that students learn better with more senses, all right? So with these different learning activities, it can actually increase the student engagement in your class and as well as improve the comprehension because some of the students that may need more time to understand a particular topic. And third, that students have more control over their learning because if you're doing this blended learning, I will explain more about how you can incorporate this in your teaching. They have more control over their learning because at their own pace. And lastly, it's about us, all right? When we give like online learning materials for the students to study at home, perhaps we can probably use this time to do like research or certain or other administrative tasks, all right? So these are the advantages of the blended learning. And in our academic handbook or in UW Malaysia, we do encourage the lecturers, all right, to have this online, to have a minimal percentage of this online delivery in your teaching. So for those courses that are much more theoretical, so we would suggest that minimum 30% of the content hours to be blended. So it can be synchronous or asynchronous. As for practical courses, for example, like chef, your courses, I think mostly are practical, right? They need to be in the kitchen. So a minimum of 20% of content hours to be blended, all right, is recommended. So it also can be synchronous or asynchronous. So example would be like, if let's say you have like 10 class or 10 session, all right, in your course. So the first session, probably you want to do a face-to-face. Same goes for the second class face-to-face. And for the third session, you feel that, oh, the students are matured enough and they understand how your the flow of the class and the topics. And probably this third session would need like more time for the students to understand before you can move on to the next chapter. So probably you would want to do something like a flipped classroom. So there will be no classes on that day. Student would have to learn something online, which you will be uploaded in Camu. And thereafter, you would test their understanding by using like Kahoot or maybe Quizy. Now Quizy changed the company to Wayground, yeah, the name. And after that, on the next following class or maybe your tutorial class, you would actually discuss, okay, on the results of the Kahoot or whichever material or the ways that you have used to test the student understanding. Yeah, so this is how it can looks like. So how this blended learning fall in place, yeah? So it goes back to OBE. So I hope that you all still remember what OBE is. So OBE stands for outcome-based education. So I believe Mr. Gabriel has talked about this, I think, weeks before. And this is very important before we start our teaching, yeah? And outcome-based education means that we focus on the outcome. And there's three components that, how to say, will how to say a factor to it, all right? So the first is on the curriculum design. So we work backwards, all right? So we wanted to know what is the outcome and only we design our classes. And next would be assessment. So if we talk about outcome-based education, we would focus not on the grades of the students, but much more on their achievement on the learning outcomes. And most importantly, the component that will how to say will drive, okay, this OBE, the successfulness would be on the teaching and learning, and that's where blended learning comes in. Okay, so before that, let's look again what is the definition of teaching versus learning. So teaching, of course, of what we are all doing, yeah, we are giving lessons, we're giving lectures on a particular subject, okay, to a group of students, all right, or learners. However, how do we know that the learners or the students understand or able to absorb whatever that we have shared with them? Yeah, so this is being pictured in this comic, all right? So traditionally, yes, learning can only be done with the presence of the teachers, so or the lecturers. So we are known as the omnipotent source, all right? But however, with AI coming in and ChatGPT, students would just ask their best friend ChatGPT now. So it looks like our role as a lecturer seems to be not as important as during during the tradition, years back. Yeah. So this is also why sometimes there's lack of respect to the lecturer and how we can actually improve this or evolve this situation. Okay. And this is where blended learning comes in. So we would actually want the learners not just to absorb or to understand the knowledge, but it's also a process of learning outside the normal classroom. So it goes back to our Malaysia education blueprint that talk about lifelong learner. So the process of learning will not be just ended in the classroom, and learners are encouraged to become independent learner. All right. So that is why we strongly encourage like lecturers to use this blended learning in your class. So this blended learning is not just only limited to like online, yeah. So it can be something like case study or maybe like poster or maybe like peer review. So I will talk much more about this later on. So blended learning is not just only on online using digital tools, yeah. So this blended learning can be something like a mixture of a self-managed learning. For example, like you have some online material, for example, like as I mentioned just now, like topic 3 that would learn by themselves, and then they will come to the class and probably they will have some discussion or debates or maybe some project assignment going on. And then of course it will have some face-to-face learning as well as online learning. Yeah. So this online learning can be synchronous or asynchronous, and also like the online content that you uploaded at Camu so that the students can access to it. All right. So this is generally what you can try to incorporate in your course. Okay, but who knows in the future, there might be a certain other ways of doing this blended learning. We will not know. Yeah. So as for now, it's just like this 3 different technique or methods. Uh, so in order to support, okay, or to say what are the factors that drive the quality of learning. So these are a few, all right, that and Whistle, I know that is a bit quite some time back, but this is where he found out that the team found out that in order for the quality of learning to be achieved, yeah. So these are the factors, and this is where blended learning can help in order learners can achieve this quality of learning. So how blended learning can support in this is, for example, like students' prior experience, knowledge, conception, and reasons for studying. So some students in your class, you may see that they are can understand better than the others. So with this blended learning, all right, like for example, like complicated or complex topics which require like pre-reading. So some of the students that can do some pre-reading as what on the online materials that you have given. So when they come to class, everyone would expect to have the same level of understanding of a certain topic. And also the students' perception of a teaching learning environment. All right. So generally, it would have different types of diversity of learning activities. So probably it would engage the students more to retain the knowledge. And of course, us as a lecturer, it's important that we know face-to-face and online pedagogical would be different. Example, like how you teach online and how you not to say teach online, but how you utilize the online teaching strategy as well as face-to-face, it will be different as well. So it's important to have knowledge in both ways. And of course, course material can be personalized if you are using like blended learning. So like some of the online tools allow you to personalize this assessment, okay, to cater like different learners. And lastly, online learning also helps the student to get a deeper learning on a particular topic, right? So these are about how blended learning can support in the quality of learning, right? So our role, all right, in this era, okay, is much more will be transformed from a knowledge provider to a coach and mentor, all right. So even though like yeah, there has been like saying about AI would be able to replace us, but till the end of the day, learning experience still needs the human elements or the human touch, especially on encouragement, compassion, which AI will not be able to do so for now. All right. So this is how our role will change. And how about learner? All right. So instead of them like sitting in the class listening to you just a one-way communication. So with this blended learning, the students are expected to be less passive because they need to participate in the class activities, and students would be the center of learning. So as per the observation form, yeah, I believe you all have one part that talk about how we is much more like a facilitator as the students would be the center of learning. Yeah. So students would learn everything, on real life. I will talk about this later on. Okay. And learning is a social process, which means that it doesn't work if it's just a one-way street. All right. Like the lecturer in front just talking and the student are just listening to you. As interaction will enhance the understanding. Okay. So next, I would like to share this framework with you. So it's about the successfulness of using blended learning in your class, all right? So according to Mishra and Kohler, yeah, so in order for this good quality of teaching, it requires three components, which is the technological knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge, and as well as the content knowledge, all right? So the intersection between the technology and pedagogical knowledge is known as the technological pedagogical knowledge, which is known as TPK. So it's about how you know to change or which teaching strategy to be used when technology is used. As for the intersection between technology and content is known as the technological content knowledge, which is TCK, which means that how we know how to select the right technology to support our teaching, all right? And last but not least, the intersection between pedagogical knowledge and content knowledge is known as the pedagogical content knowledge. So how we can teach a specific content, all right, effectively. So everything, all right, the intersection of all this is known as the TPAC, technological pedagogical content knowledge. All right. So it emphasizes about by selecting the right technology and strategy in order to teach the right content to the students effectively. All right. So the outcome would be the student will be engaged and they're able to understand, able to retain knowledge, and we will also achieve the learning outcome. So with this, we are not just a content expert, but we evolve the role as a facilitator and problem-solving expert. Because I believe all of you over here have your experience that you can share, right, based on how to apply on certain knowledge in a real world settings. So example on how you can integrate this TPAC. Okay, so I just give an example in a scientific way. All right. So for example, like I would like to teach a topic on ecosystem. So as I mentioned, the three main component that you need to achieve in good teaching would be the content. So of course, we need to understand what is ecosystem. And next, we need to select what is the right pedagogy in teaching this. So I would like to use inquiry-based learning. So maybe case study for the student to apply, all right? And then technology, probably I would be able to get some like simulation or virtual lab for the students to simulate. So by combining all these three, the students will be able to learn the theory online and experiment it digitally and discuss finding in the class. So the student would not just like sitting and just listen to what is ecosystem concept, but they do not know how to apply it. Yeah. So this is how it looks like. So here are some of the example of a blended learning. All right. So there's 5 of it. The first is known as a rotation model. So whereby students will be, you have set like 3 stations, okay? So students are allowed to rotate, okay, through these stations on a fixed schedule. So for example, like you have face-to-face and then you have like online learning, and then after that you have a collaborative activities. So these are known as a rotation model. Next is known as a flex model. So this is much more for online learning, all right? Because in flex model, online learning is the backbone of a student learning where you upload all your materials online, and teachers or lecturers will just provide support and instruction whenever it needs to be, okay? And a la carte model is much more for a program, all right? So in a program, there might be some courses that allow the student to choose that specific course to be online, all right? So this allows the students to control whatever they need to in their for their semester. Another one is known as an enriched virtual model. So this is actually the ODL, the open distance learning model. So whereby student will learn everything online. And of course, there are certain time that require some face-to-face or synchronous learning. All right. So this is known as the enriched virtual model, which is also known as ODL, the open distance learning. And last but not least would be the flipped classroom model. All right. So as the term suggested, so it flip, okay, the traditional relationship, okay, of the class time and homework. So instead of the student learning in class, so probably they will learn it at home, and after that they will come to class for discussion or activities. So synchronous time is used for more challenging problem-solving activities or collaborative work like discussion or debate. And asynchronous time is used for self-paced learning, as I mentioned that there's a diverse learner and some can learn faster or understand better, but not everyone. So this flipped classroom usually would be implemented if your batch of students are matured, so that they wouldn't think that why my lecturer is not like teaching me and I have to learn by myself. Yeah. Okay. It's a very fine line. All right. So it very much depends on the batch of students you have. So as a summary over here for all the different types of blended learning. So for rotation model as well as enriched virtual model, which is the ODL, and also flipped classroom, the student control will be moderate because we as a facilitator or teacher will still need to guide the learning. But for flex model and a la carte model, it will be by the students. So it's something much more like a MOOC or a micro credential, if you have heard about this term before. So the student would learn at their own pace and with a fixed schedule, or they will just learn whichever they feel like it. All right. So these are the different types of blended learning model. And next will be how to design. Okay, so it involves these 5 different stages. Okay. So first of all, it's about analyzing. So now you have decided, okay, I think I would like to use this blended learning in my course. So first of all, you need to see the big picture or the whole course, okay, before you can start in designing it, which is the next phase. Probably you might see that which one is more complex that requires student to understand more. So this is the phase where you analyze it. So next, you will design. As I mentioned, it's not just only online, all right? So it can be like some discussion, or the student need to do some poster, or maybe you want to bring them some for field trip, all right? And after that, the third will be development. So you're going to create it, all right? And then fourth would be implementing. So of course, you will do it in the class, all right? And last but not least, which is very important, is the evaluation phase. At times we think that it's the best for the students, but maybe this batch of students are not ready for that. Yeah. So which each semester or each batch, probably you may have to reflect on your learning activities is if it's like suitable for this group of students or if it's effective. All right. Okay. So it's important that in order to, implement this blended learning, it consists of 4 different phases. So that is like before, during, after, and next. Okay. So before a face-to-face session or before any of your class, it's important that you establish the communication so that they would understand what you want, and you will also know their expectation, and they also know what's your expectation for all the pre-reading assignment or maybe some of the blended learning strategy that you're going to use in the class. And during, all right, the session, all right, I shouldn't use a face-to-face session, but general term should be blended learning. Yeah. So probably during a face-to-face session, you will use like Kahoot or Quizy, all right, all these learning technologies, but it's not to lecture, but instead you just want to see how far the student understands. So this is a kind of like a formative assessment, which is very important than the summative assessment. Okay. So you can use like survey, online discussion, or quiz. All right. And between, all right, this face-to-face session, yeah, is for the students to reflect on whatever that they have learned. So maybe they feel like, oh, I actually do not understand this topic. So maybe I need more practice on this particular topic, all right? And of course, in your next session, it's important that you close the loop. I think Mr. Gabriel has also mentioned in his essay trait, that's very important that when we start our class, it's important that we close the loop, all right? So that the students know that what to expect and for the topic and also the next topic and how it links. Okay, so this is the 4 different phases. And generally, I think this is not just only for blended learning, but as a general teaching strategy is that it would be great that if we could break our lesson into a small bites, and which consists of a mini lecture that is 10 to 15 minutes and then followed by a active learning activity. I do understand that time sometimes can be a limitation, all right, and also sometimes we just want to quickly finish the topic, yeah. But it's also important that during the lesson or during the class, we do include this formative assessment to know that if the students understand whatever that we have shared with them. And this active learning activity would be like a break for the students, and yeah, this I will talk about this later on. So will be good that there will be a good balance of a synchronous and asynchronous learning activities so that the students won't feel too overwhelming. So how about the attendance? So at times, some lecturers that do take the attendance like based on how to say, maybe scanning of the QR code and things like that. But sometimes the completion of an activity, all right, or the understanding of the student can be seen as a much more important than just logging in without any participation, all right? So this is about the asynchronous classes for the attendance. And here I would like to share some of the tools, for blended learning. Of course, our learning management system is Camu. So I'm not sure how is your feedback about Camu, all right? Of course, previously we used open learning, yeah. So compared to Camu, of course, Camu would be just something that you will just upload the materials and that's all, yeah. So another thing that you can try on is digital content creation tools such as like Canva. I believe all of you have tried Canva and also Powtoon to create some animation. And also I would like to share with you over here is the Prezi and Edpuzzle. So this is how Prezi looks like. Probably it will give like a different feel to the students when you share your lecture notes, yeah. So for example, like you will zoom into a certain area, okay? And then after that, you can come out again and then you go to the next upcoming one, all right? So this will actually give a student like a different kind of view instead of like just the normal Microsoft presentation or Canva feel, all right? So probably it will engage the students because I see like, wow, something different, all right? So this is Prezi. So you can just log in with your Google account, or maybe you want to use our institution account, all right? That can be done as well. Another one would be Add Puzzle, all right? So this Add Puzzle is that you can use any of the videos, all right? Your own video or YouTube videos, and you can incorporate questions, all right, in some of the point where you want the students to understand more about a certain topic. Okay, so just for example, yeah. Just let me stop sharing and then I share with sound. Okay, so let me just reduce so that you don't suddenly get. All right, so this is just an English lesson, all right, that the author actually take from YouTube. Sorry for the slow connection.
Happening right now, or when it happens regularly or unceasingly.
Catch, catches. Worries, study, studies. Reply, replies. Pay, pays. Pray, praise.
All right, so over here you can incorporate a MCQ or any kind of your question, all right? And the student would have to select, all right, the right answer, and then you will see like how is the student understanding. So this way, you will be able to capture if the student actually understand or if they actually watch the video. Yeah, so this is Add Puzzle, okay? Okay, let's go back here. So another thing to use is a virtual classroom like Zoom and MS Teams, and they have this whiteboard thing where students can actually share their thoughts and also discussions or maybe breakout rooms. So these are some of the tools that you can use if you are using an online learning. And last but not least would be the online assessment tools such as like Quizy, which is now known as Wayground, Wayground, and Kahoot. And also our institution is still subscribed to exam.net. So just in case if you want to have your exam to be held online, so we have this exam.net application to be used, all right? So you can contact us, the Teaching and Learning Center, and after that, we will let you know what to do next, okay? So how to engage the students in blended learning environment, yeah? So first of all, it's by active learning. So the main aim for this active learning is for the students to be able to use their critical thinking and not just like sitting and listen to you. So some of the activities that you can try to do in your class would be like think, pair, and share. So where you will allow the students to think on a specific question that you provide to them, and then they will discuss with their partner, and then they will share their findings to the class. Another one would be a case study. So I actually have the opportunity to observe our colleague's class where she started her class by projecting the case study, like a case scenario or real world scenario, and the students would have to find the answer during her lecture, which I found that is quite interesting and also can engage with the students so that they would actually listen attentively in the class and to find out, so what are the solutions to the particular case study. All right. And next will be role playing. So some students they do enjoy, but some they do not. All right, I did try this role playing in one of my class before, and not every students enjoy this, but to the end of the day, they would have a good laugh and they enjoy and they also learn something. All right. So something different in your class. But of course, role playing would take some time lah. Okay. And next we'll be using multimedia for engagement. So when we wanted to use multimedia, it's much more because we want a student to understand some complex terminology or complex topic. But of course, if we just show a video without like explaining and stuff and so on, it will be just like we are giving a piece of article for students to read. Yeah. So generally, if you were to show video during our class, yeah, so the recommended time should be less than 6 minutes, right? Because if it's more than 6 minutes, the student will start to their mind will start to fly away, all right, and they will not engage with the video. And you can also use some podcasts, all right, or some interactive simulation, especially for courses that is related to computing and creative media. And also, as I mentioned, with this Gen Alpha and also Gen Z, they are much more into gamification. So I have also seen some of the lecturers that do use this gamification in their class. All right, so they have these leaderboards. So students would gain points and badges throughout the semester. And the top scorer, all right, of course, they will receive a reward, even though it's not something big, it's just a instant noodle as according to the lecturer, but they are still happy because they feel that, yes, I achieved something, all right? So these are something that you would like to incorporate in your class. And also quizzes will be like Kahoot and Quizzy. So it will be quite gamification like that. They would scan the QR code and then they will answer the question or in their phone, all right? It just something different from like just answering from the paper and pen, yeah. And this is about gamification. And last is about collaborative learning, all right? So with this is about students work together in small groups, all right? So they can be working in the same project like assignment, or they can like give constructive feedback, which is known as a peer review, which I have also seen lecturers doing that in one of the communication courses. So each of the group, they would actually give feedback on a scoring sheet, all right? So there's no bias and the lecturer would actually can understand from their point of view what they think about a specific group of presenting, right? And also you can incorporate like debates or discussion in your class as well to make it more interesting and engaging rather than just listening to your lecture. So there's still a lot more on these technology tools, and you can actually find this in our Discovery Circle workshop. So Discovery Circle workshop is all the trainings being held by Teaching and Learning Center. You can scan this QR code and it will lead you to our YouTube. So usually we would, for those that are online, we would save a recording to it. So you can look for the specific training or maybe some of the pedagogy or teaching strategy that is being shared by our colleagues. Yeah, so you can have a look from this Discovery Circle workshop at YouTube. Okay. So last but not least, the challenges and what are the solutions. So like, so I believe some of the common challenges that we have faced is on the motivation of a student as well as their engagement in class. So of course, without a full structure or maybe we didn't like tell them our expectation, they will just feel like very confused. So it's very important that before the class starts, we will let them know how the class would look like. And also you can use some interactive elements such as like the quizzes that I have shared just now, yeah, so that the student would have a different learning activities and probably they'll be more motivated to learn in your class. And of course, balancing online and in-person components are certain things that are quite challenging as well. So it's important that we analyze and we see it as a big picture. So usually I would suggest that new lecturers, yeah, to first run your course for that one particular semester to get used to the content and the topic before you would like to implement some of these different teaching or learning activities, okay? And also it's important to have a regular check-in with the students and this feedback session because as I mentioned that sometimes we think it's the best for students, it may not be the best for the student, all right? Sorry. Sorry that I disconnected. All right, for the last few slides, just let me finish it. So the challenges. So now would be what are the best practices? So first of all, it's very important that we have a clear course design. Yeah. As what I have observed, most of the lecturers that do have a very clear expectation to the students in terms of like what is the expectation or the learning outcome for today's class, and then what they have and then recap what they have learned previously and what they're going to expect in the future. So at least they could link what is going on. Yeah. So to develop a well-organized course outline is very important. All right. And also by using this Camu, I hope that all of you are using Camu right now for to upload all the course materials, activities, and assignment. And also reflection and self-assessment. At times, we just want to move on to finish up the whole class or the whole course, and that we forgot to ask the students like, how do you feel about today's class? And is there anything that we could help? Or maybe do you need like more materials to help you to understand this topic? Yeah. So something like online journals, surveys, or portfolio can be useful to help the students to track their progress and also reflect on their experiences. All right. So here is for your further reading on, especially if you would like to use online delivery, all right, in your class, and it can be found in the SharePoint. And my last slide and quote to share with you is that if we teach today's student as we taught yesterday, we rock them off tomorrow. Because things are changing, it's evolving, technology is coming, and of course, certainly we couldn't like to use back the same technique that we have learned, all right, from our lecturers. Okay, so that's all from me, and also the end of the acid trip. If you have any questions, yeah, feel free to email the Teaching and Learning Center, and we are always here to support you. Right? Is there any question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Okay. So thank you, everyone. So have a nice weekend. Yep. Take
Thank
care.
Thank you,
you.
Doctor. Thank you.
Welcome. Bye bye.